Hello everyone and welcome to the FPL Cougars show. I'm Chris.
I'm Kieran.
And today we are previewing Game Week 1. So in today's show we're going to discuss each upcoming Game Week fixture, going to look at the potential key players, differentials and clean sheets. We'll also talk captaincy, reveal our team's planned transfers as well as the Cougar Cub picks. Before we get into the show proper, just want to take a moment to say thank you to everyone who stopped by and checked us out during pre-season. Huge amount of rise in engagement and just people chatting with us on the channel, so it's been great to hear from you. If you're not already subscribed, hit that button now because we're doing a show every game week as per this season, and it'd be great to have you along with us. Keek, before we get into the show, should we also just mention Fantasy Football Hub because we've been doing it a few times. Now the season's kicked off, they're still doing memberships, and I tell you what surprised me the most is the potential points predictor which they put up, one of their new features. I was thinking, Dean, okay, how is he predicted to be top of like the defensive picks for the first 4 game weeks? And I was going to say by Jove then, let's say it anyway, by Jove, Kieran, he got a clean sheet and an assist against Spurs and some bonus there. It's coming in.
Good fixtures coming up as well. Yeah.
It's coming in, so well worth checking out. Alright, on to the game week review. Let's start with you, Kieran. How'd you get on?
Yeah, so overall, obviously pretty good in the end. I went with the gut pick of Salah captain, and yeah, smashed out a hat trick. I think I got Sterling's hat trick on the first day last season as well, which was nice as captain. I think actually no, I captained Salah, but still, 2 hat tricks on 2 opening days is pretty good. And then Aubameyang, who obviously in the first game I was dreading watching Liverpool because obviously a lot of people had captained Aubameyang, but yeah, the 7 points, only one sort of goal, and that owned him, didn't captain him, so that was probably the best scenario there, really. And then Justin coming up with a clean sheet. Fulham, West Brom never really looked like scoring.
No.
And then Lewis, I picked. I think on my sort of team sheets I put Lascelles down because I couldn't actually find a picture of Lewis at the time, but I did actually pick Lewis, and nice little bonus, looks really lively as well, so that was a nice differential clean sheet, which I didn't really expect, to be honest, because West Ham hit the woodwork twice or something, so but Newcastle looked decent.
Who was your biggest letdown from game week 1? Who was after, I know it's only 1 game week, but we spent all like pre-season planning this. Did you expect more of anyone?
Probably Havertz and Egan. Havertz was awful, to say the least. He was shockingly bad. And then Egan, who I really expected as sort of a 0-0, and they after that first 6 minutes when those 2 first goals went in, they sort of turned back to the sort of Sheffield United you expected them to be, of just being quite solid. And I'm not down in the dumps about that, but a yellow card as well was a bit of kick in the teeth, and I could have chose Seiss or James at that 5 point, and I chose Egan, so can't win them all.
It's the way it goes. Yeah, I think it was quite an interesting opening game week. Like I tweeted out on maybe Sunday morning, I think it's such a contrast in scores just purely based on Salah. Obviously those without him, there was quite a few top managers who have opted to go without him this season. There's those who had him in their team, didn't captain him, and then like you, captained him. I was one of those that gave the armband to Aubameyang in that opening fixture, and I'll talk about it a little bit more later, but I mean Salah absolutely bossed it on the underlying numbers, as he has done with the captaincy. So I think might be some lessons learned when it comes to picking those 12 million price premiums this season. Is it worth having both of them taken up? Well, it's essentially a quarter of your budget when you're only ever going to captain one of them. So I think it remains to be seen how the captaincy between those two goes for the season. Anyway, digressing a little bit, 69 points I got, which was enough to squeeze, which was like a game. I'm saying it out there. It's a game week rank of like 914k, rather than like an overall, so people don't get too downhearted about any bad starts. I had Lascelles, like you, happy with the clean sheet. Aubameyang captain, like I say, Salah points, and Werner with my main sort of point scorers. Seiss was the big hero for me though last night, 15 points for that goal, clean sheet and bonus. I was happy to see that one coming because the game week was looking a bit of a sort of a poor one.
He should have had more. I feel lucky for him not to be on the 20 odd point haul because he looked great.
No,
really good.
I'm happy to have him because Wolves was so solid the back end of last season, and he was a bit of a latecomer into my team, a bit like Ramsdale was, and I'm just pleased that Seiss picked up a goal. There was a lot of choice there between Cody and Bolly as well. Ings was talking about disappointments for me. Ings was a bit, but I suppose it's only the first game week, so I'm not going to jump into too many conclusions there. All right, should we go on to the manager of the week?
Yes, so it was Adedemola FC. I'm sorry, I'm saying that wrong. But yeah, 108 points. Triple captain played on Salah, which obviously 60 points, which is nearly your whole game week score. Tierney with a 6 point as well. Van Dijk with a 7, who could have had more as well. Sionchu was 6. I think he had Schmeichel as well with 6. Willian as well, which is a great pick.
Nice.
I mean, a lot of people avoided him because they didn't think he'd start. So, 14 points there. And then the Werner with the 5 as well. So 4 blanks, but that triple captain coming out massive. Well done. Yeah,
nice. And if you're not in our FPL Cougars mini league, the code is on the screen now, and it's also links joins in the description. On the Cub picks front, so for anyone that's new watching us this season, this is where Kieran and I have a competition each week. We pick a player, a sort of under 15% owned, bit of a differential. We both went strikers, didn't we? Game week 1. And
2 tales of bad boys there, but I got Wilson. Fancied a little punt on him and on his debut, and he's got a good record against West Ham. He obviously got that goal and could have had more. So an 8-pointer with 2 bonus. Decent start for me. And then you picked Firmino, which on the sounding of things, Firmino at Liverpool under 15%. Against Leeds at home should have been good, right? But
they scored
4 goals as well. Yeah, exactly. 1 point for you there, unfortunately. So he must have picked up a yellow card, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
I'm obviously on 8 and you're on 1 so far, and all to play for, obviously.
All to play for. Right, I'm getting into the game week preview. I'm going to pull up our teams on screen now. I don't think you haven't made any transfers yet, have you?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Certainly things in mind, yeah.
Okay, well let's get through it and talk about each of the games. The first one is the lunchtime kickoff. A lot of interest probably going to be on Everton. They host West Brom. Do you want to kick things off on Everton? Tell me what you thought of them, because I didn't actually see this game. I saw the highlights and looked good.
They did look good. Impressive, especially against the Spurs, who everyone thought would be sort of smashing Everton a little bit, I guess. Those 3 midfield signings looked mightily impressive, and he chucked all 3 of them in straight away and completely changing the outlook of this Everton team, honestly. Doucouré is underrated at 5.5 million. I think he's going to do well, provide some value if you need a 5.5, possibly from St. Maximan. Alan looks very composed, very strong on the ball. I think he's going to help that defence a lot, kind of like Ghana Gay did a few years ago. And then obviously J. Rodriguez was really, really quality as well. Created a lot, 3 shots, 5 key passes, 1 big chance created. He looks like the sort of attacking talisman that they've needed for a while. Where Sigurdsson hasn't been doing it, Bernard's not done it, and Walcott obviously is terrible. So he's the sort of player that I think a lot of us are going to want to look at from now on, because 7.5 million for him looks like a deal or a steal, I suppose.
With these good fixtures as well. I was impressed, even on, like you say, on the highlights. He looked like he was at the centre of everything. He looked like he was playing wide in like a midfield 3 and cutting in quite a bit. I saw he'd had a couple of shots in, but he sort of impressed me. I think he'll take a little bit of time to get up to speed, but these fixtures now are like a really great chance for him to do that. West Brom and Brighton at home in the next 3, and a tricky away game, to be fair, against Crystal Palace. I think they'll try and keep it tight, but this West Brom fixture this game week couldn't have come at a better time after them putting on a good performance, because West Brom were woeful on Sunday.
So their XG was 1.4 as a team, and they obviously only scored 1, but Richarlison fluffed up a huge chance.
He did,
I think Richarlison had quite a few good chances he could have scored, so less sort of fluffing up chances, then they could do well. I mean, obviously James Rodriguez hasn't got any returns yet, but he's got 3 points, more than Mane, someone like that. But his potential looks like it could be really good. And someone like Calvert-Lewin, who obviously I said last time I don't want to go anywhere near since the time of last season, but now I'm thinking of bringing him in, so because he's the one that's going to be on the end of all this stuff, isn't it? So even Richarlison's looking for him, J-Rod's looking for him, and at 7 million he could be a steal, I suppose.
It's
took his header really well as well.
Oh, he did. It's interesting that he's come in $1 million under Richarlison. It looks like Richarlison was getting as many sort of good chances in the box, and like you say, he could have squared up that one, or just had a bit more composure after he'd beaten Lloris all ends up. and it could have been a totally different story. I think if you're going to get on an Everton asset, it's got to be this game week. I mean, West Brom were awful at the weekend, so they managed an XG of 0.27, which was the lowest of any team game week 1. And that was really against the Leicester side that hadn't won in any of their last 8 away games. So they hadn't come onto the back with much confidence. They were playing the young lad at the back, Justin, who ended up winning the penalty. And that was it Castagna? Is that how you pronounce it?
Castagna, yeah.
He was making his debut, but they just didn't really have a dent. So they had 8 penalty box touches against Leicester, which was the second worst after Fulham with 5. The new boys just looking absolutely atrocious. And trying to pick out a player, I just couldn't do it. I mean, Pereira is the most selected of any West Brom player on 2%, but 3 shots, next best was 1. None of them looked appetizing really, and I think for a few game weeks they and Fulham are gonna be targeted, and I think if you're gonna get an Everton player, it's got to be this week for this game.
Yeah, even Digne at the back, who looked impressive as well. He always has a good game week 1, but I don't know if this is a sort of classic Everton. Everyone they look good, everyone gets reeled in by them, and then they do an Everton and a crap for ages. But it's an Ancelotti Everton with a bit of pre-season and 3 really good new signings. So, like you said, I'm tempted to bring Calvert-Lewin in for a hit. Just so I can the West Brom, Crystal Palace, Brighton, like that seems like he's going to tick along to me, and it's going to sort out some problems and get me to bring in a player who I really want. So something to consider. And obviously West Brom is looking so crap already, so there's that too.
Yeah, target them. All right. Next up is the 2 championship sides. Or is there any more? Sorry, you wanted to add on that?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. Leeds against Fulham. So, I mean, Fulham again, Mitrovic was the sort of big surprise on Saturday morning because he was benched. Apparently, there was a few people, like Captain Hindsight, saying, oh, yeah, we've known for weeks he's had a little bit of a knock and he won't start. But we didn't really see anything in the media that he was going to be benched in.
I had no idea.
Oh, really?
No, I had no idea. I think it was. They just said it was because he had international duty and he was just back late.
Oh, really?
I thought that was literally all it was.
Oh, well, I don't know who I was believing there, but yeah, it was a bit of a surprise, wasn't it, to see him on the bench? I mean, he was 28% of teams when Game Week 1 started, and I think by last night he was on about 22, so nearly lost 10% of his ownership. He came on for 27 minutes, so I imagine he'll be good to go for this one, but yeah, Fulham themselves just looked absolutely awful without him. So horrific showing. They had 5 penalty box touches, which was the lowest of the weekend. But the flip side for them is they now start a pretty good 9-game run where they don't face any of the traditional big 6. So they need to get the season going. Yeah, this is where they're going to do it. But no, I've got no faith in them.
I think they lose the next 4, maybe even 5.
What,
Leeds is at home. Aston Villa, Wolves, Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, who've looked okay. Yeah. I think they lose all of them. Leeds side. I'm playing Eiling this. Eiling.
Oh yeah.
Eiling. I don't pronounce it right.
Ailing.
Ailing. Yeah.
Eiling.
But yeah, he looked okay. His sort of attacking stats weren't basically
Ailing,
nothing at all. He had no shots, no big chances, no key passes, no big chances created, an XG and an XA of 0, which is exactly the same as Dallas. I think Dallas got a assist somehow. I didn't even see how, but so I'm happy to own him, and I think they looked accomplished going forward against Liverpool, and they're going to press high, obviously, and I think they're going to dominate possession, and I think a clean sheet looks pretty nailed on, honestly. Fulham looked that bad. I don't know if Mitro is going to help them that much going forward, but this was a 3-0 to Leeds in the same fixture last year. So I'm happy to have Eiling and play him this week. Their team stats was an XG of 0.58 when they scored 3, and they scored with every shot on target. Their XGC was 3 and conceded 4, but that was against Liverpool, who looked like pretty on fire going forward at least. Eiling's in there for me. Biggest surprise possibly was Harrison at 5.5 million, 1.6% owned. Big 7-pointer. I'm kind of surprised how well they sort of played in attack, but are they going to get as much space as they did against Liverpool? Probably not. But he only had 1 shot 0 key passes, 0 big chances, and 0 big chances created. So I think he's probably a wait and see for me. I'm not going to get sort of tied into getting him just from one return against Liverpool. So, but then there's Bamford, 5.5 million, who's actually 5.6. He's the first riser of the season, which seems kind of mental, doesn't it?
Yeah.
of all players to go up, Bamford, the first one. 120k transfers in. I think he's had more than that by now, by the time I was doing these notes. But yeah, ahead of the sort of transfers in for Kevin De Bruyne. Yeah, he's not even nailed on. I think he's might start the next one, but he's going to slowly start to lose his place to Rodrigo. And he's not a fantasy pick, so a lot of people are going to be disappointed from now on, I think.
Yeah. Don't you think? I think it was weird looking at when I was doing the notes and checking out the prices of like some of these players, like you mentioned just there, Harrison. All pre-season, the talk was who's going to be my fourth midfielder in that like 6 million, 5.5 bracket, and there was 6 this game week 1. That's like we're in the top 10 highest scoring midfielders with I think Hendrick, Jorginho, is a Kilch as well for Leeds.
Click, I think.
Click or Trossard, Townsend. I mean, it was crazy. So I think it was a bit of a mockery. Everyone have been, like me and you, piling in on Soucek and Sam Maximan.
Podence as well.
He's got a start. So I think there's a lot of options have sort of appeared at that price point now, which is only good for the game. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I'm happy that there's more choice there now.
Just finally on Fulham, it's probably just worth mentioning before we move on is well, I think you want to mention about who to play this game week, but Reed looks like he's emerged as a 4.5 playing midfielder. There hasn't been too many nailed on ones, or there aren't too many nailed ones this season. So yeah, if you're looking to someone to fill that fifth midfielder gap, and you think about playing an early wildcard, you haven't already got him, probably worth having a look at Reed. I was going to ask you about your playing team this week, because obviously you're benching 5 million priced Egan away at Aston Villa.
Yes.
Does it pain you to do that?
A little bit. I mean, I think I just got to back the home teams and just how each team looked to start with, to be honest. I mean, Leicester, for Justin, their man Newcastle conceded 0 big chances in their first game, and they've both got decent fixtures against Burnley and Brighton, so that looks good. And then Newcastle conceded 15 shots, Leeds conceded 22, which obviously not great, but West Ham and Liverpool are decent attacking sides, so I expect that to sort of go down a lot. And then Fulham, in terms of who are playing Leeds, they only had 5 shots, as you said, and West Brom, who are playing... I haven't got anyone playing West Brom, but Everton, I don't know why I've got that there. Everton. I was thinking Leicester were playing them for some reason. Actually, they played them last week, didn't they?
They did, yeah. That's probably why you got them.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, so at this point, Egan, I think could still be good. And I think Lewis was kind of lucky to keep a clean sheet last week, but I don't know. I think I'm just backing the home fixtures. And it looks better to
back the home ones. Yeah,
I don't know. Like I said earlier, Wolves just scored quickly, and then the rest of the time Sheffield United looked quite solid. But I don't know which one I would bench for Egan at this point, really.
No, I think, to be honest, I think you've probably got it about right. It's just a shame that Egan's come off a 0 point game and he's 5 million, but if he'd kept a clean sheet, you'd probably feel a bit better about benching him this week, because I think, like you say, Ayling and Justin have probably got better fixtures.
Yeah, it's him or Lewis, I think. But then again, I'm not even going to want him to play him against Leeds at home, I don't think, at this rate. So he looks like an absolute waste at this point. Yeah. I don't know why I got him, but
0.5 million too much. I feel a bit the same about Ramsdale, but we'll get onto that in a bit. Should we talk about the juicy one of the game week potentially, or one of the juicy ones, Man United against Crystal Palace, because United obviously haven't had a game week fixture yet. Palace have. We just talked about this a little bit before we came on. Your plans sort of centre a little bit around getting United player in. A lot of people have done it. I'm sort of a bit reluctant to do it, just based off the fact that United haven't had a proper pre-season. I think they had a game on Saturday against Villa. Some of their main players, Martial, Bruno, didn't play. Obviously, Palace have had a pretty decent pre-season, come off a good win against Southampton. I think it's going to be a tight game, and considering they haven't lost at Old Trafford in the last 2 times they visited there, I think they'll be feeling good going there on, I think it's Saturday afternoon, to make it difficult for them. So I'm not rushing to take a point hit to get a Martial, Rashford, Bruno in my team. Do you feel the same?
I know exactly where you're coming from. There's been an article saying that apparently 11 players could be missing for United, but I think that seems a bit clickbaity because they're talking about like Jones as someone and
right.
but then Mata and all that sort of, but all these sort of fringy players. But like Bruno has only started training on the weekend with United. Pogba and I think Mata and like Lindelof and stuff like that have only started training on Monday.
Yeah.
So I don't even know about Martial. Greenwood's been training on his own because of COVID and everything that happened with England.
Boy, boy.
So yeah, it's like if you take the risk, they could still smash it, and you'd be like, oh god, why didn't I just go for it? But then at the same time, maybe you should wait because Crystal Palace have looked decently defensive, and they won in this fixture last year. So yeah, it's going to screw my brain up a little bit because I don't know. I really want to get Bruno in. I've wanted to get him in for this fixture the whole time.
Yeah.
But I never banked on Salah smashing 3 goals and looking so good on the stats. So I really can't sell Salah. So it's do I take a hit to get Bruno? That's the thing. Or do I just go Ings to Martial? But then I think Ings could do well against Spurs.
I think a lot of managers are going to be in the same situation, just trying to work out what they're going to do with these United players. I'm a bit like you, was so keen to bring one of them in ahead of this game week, but the closer it's gotten, like the little amount of information I've heard coming out of United about how pre-season's gone. Like I know Bruno's played in the for Portugal and Martial's played for France, but I mean I think it's a big difference coming back to your club. I mean obviously they're still quality players and they can probably turn it on for a game against Palace, but I just in the back of my mind is the worry that they're not going to be quite there or quite at it.
I think they
Palace
I think
a good
they
week.
play. I think Martial, Bruno.
Yeah,
I think they'll definitely
start.
play.
Yeah.
But like United weren't doing a whole lot at the end of last season, and they didn't look great. So they've played sort of internationals as well, and they're probably going to be tired. I think Bruno played 90 minutes from both. Martial played quite a lot as well, I think. So yeah, even though Martial did look really good, I think Bruno got an assist and a goal as well or something. So yeah, I don't know. Like Bruno's 18.7% already, and he's due to go up in price tonight. So I think if you Martial as well. So if you're looking to get one of them in, it probably needs to be tonight.
Yeah.
Even though there's Carabao Cup fixtures and all that stuff, so you might get injuries in your team elsewhere. I don't know. I'm sorry, I can't be that.
That's all right. Down to be decisive. So I'll tell you a bit about the Palace players because I mean they haven't got great fixtures in the next 3. After this United game, they've got Everton and Chelsea. But after that, I think it's a real time to target them. So between game weeks 5 and 13, basically a 9-game stretch, the only team they played from last season's top 6 is Spurs. And after Spurs' dreadful start this weekend, that's quite a good time to get on them. There defensively, you know what you're gonna get there. So they managed 10 clean sheets last season. I think Guaita looked great again at the weekend. I know he's 5 million, but for me, with Ramsdale sitting there at 5 million goalkeeper, I'm already like, why did I spend that money? But if
10-pointer,
if I still have Ramsdale by game week 5, I tell you what, Guaita's coming in my team for that game week run because they're bound to pick up some clean sheets against those teams because it's just their bread and butter. So
you do this every year. You swap keepers out.
Keepers. I know.
You shouldn't do it. You just keep them. Just leave them.
Maybe I'll get a defender. Anyway, it was Mitchell, wasn't it? It was a darling at the game on game week 1. So 15% of managers got him in. He got 6 points for 4 million. I think he was part of a lot of managers' strategy. Who had expensive United assets just on the bench and played him and did well. Scott Dan is obviously back in there while the others are out injured. 4.5 million. He was captain. And one I just wanted to mention quite briefly from an attacking point of view. I mean, Crystal Palace are never really ones to bleat about from an attacking point of view, but I wonder if we're going to see a slightly different Zaha this season. So he managed 4 goals. You're shaking your head already. You're not keen.
Thought about it loads of times before, and it just never really happens.
Never happens. I know, but I mean, okay. So I'll just tell you the stat. I'll tell you what happened anyway. But 4 goals last season. Awful return. He's obviously got one of those already. He had 2 big chances, 2 shots in the box, and 2 penalty area touches against Southampton. So not massive. But I compared that to Project Restart, where he had on average per 90 minutes in those 10 games, he had 0.2 big chances, 1.7 shots in the box, and 5.7 penalty area touches. So it surprised me a little bit that just on a 1-game average, he had way fewer average penalty box touches, but his big chances were higher. So I wonder if he's going to be given a slightly different role, either being or trying to be more clinical in the penalty area. So that's something for me to watch, because it's 7 million with some juicy fixtures on the horizon. It's just worth keeping tabs on. That's all I got to say. Zaha's not doing it for you, though, I can tell. You're still thinking about United players, aren't you?
No, people are on him. Got on him for his good run last year, and I think he scored 1 in like 6 or 7 games or something. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Is there any more you want to say about United? You're going to be thinking about it all show now, aren't you? I can tell.
It's going to be it's hard. People in the comments, tell us what you're doing with them.
Yeah, I'd be interested.
I wish I just left one on the bench, honestly, so I didn't have to think about it.
Yeah. All right, Arsenal, the flavour of the week, I think, for me, because Willian's got to be, I don't know, he's had a price rise. He's playing potentially in that number 10 role. He's on corners. He's on set pieces. He looked good, Keek. He looked really good.
Yeah. Just if we knew he would have started, he would have been way more popular, obviously. But yeah, Pepe at 70 million or something, wasn't he bought for? He's being stuck on the bench for Willian on a free. Seems kind of crazy. So I don't think that'll happen all the time. So Pepe's going to get some starts. Maybe Willian goes into the middle, like you said. But yeah, all set pieces, corners, free kicks. Probably not penalties. I assume Aubameyang still has that. But yeah, he's obviously got two assists off the corners. Hit the post as well, the free kick. Looks good. He was good at the end of the season with Chelsea, so you probably expected him to do well.
Has he entered your mind as a transfer? Like, seriously? Like, you're talking about all these moves.
I know you talked about it earlier to me. Not at the moment, just because of the fixtures. Obviously, like the West Ham one, but Liverpool, Sheffield United, Man City, and Leicester are the 4 after that. Not teams that give up loads of chances. So, not for me, I don't think.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt you, Flo, on that, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so XG as a team was 2.08 with 3 scored, and XGC of 0.33 with 0 conceded, and obviously Gabriel started. Not many people thought he'd start either. A lot of people thought Saliba would start, who obviously played some preseason with them at 4.5 million. Quite a few people had him in their team, obviously very disappointed at this point now. And then Saka as well, who looked so good last year and in preseason and the Community Shield. Again, another casualty of being put on the bench with the new signings of Willian and things like that. So, I mean, Lacazette as well, I think looked okay. Nketiah was someone who was in a few teams as well. 8.5 million, pretty cheap for Lacazette, 4.2%. Obviously a proven goal scorer in the Premiership. If he can nail down that spot, which I think he looks like he probably will at this point if he's started the season, could be a viable option, I think, possibly going forward. Once their fixtures turn. Holding as well at 4.5 million looks good to start, I would assume, for the time being. Don't know how injured Luiz is, so take that with a grain of salt. And then Ceballos looked good at 5 million when he came on, but I'm not really convinced he's a fantasy asset yet. But then for this week, Aubameyang, captain, looks pretty nailed on. Who have you got your captain on?
Yeah, I've got it on Aubameyang as well. I think it almost feels like a no-brainer because there's so many other tricky fixtures, with Chelsea and Liverpool playing each other, Man City playing Wolves, and Spurs playing, obviously, just really bad football at the moment. The only other team potentially is United, and I don't trust them against Crystal Palace for like a mega haul. So, yeah, I think Aubameyang's almost like auto-picked himself for this game week, and I think you'd be brave as well to go on someone else when he's such high ownership. I think he's not still on nearly 50-odd, 46%. So, yeah, I think Aubameyang for me.
Well, he announced his contract, got announced earlier today as well. Signed a new contract. So, I think to celebrate, hat-trick seems pretty good to me. He was a flat-back bully last year. West Ham conceded 1 big chance to Newcastle, 3 headed chances, and then 15 shots. So, Aubameyang himself had 3 shots against Fulham, an XG of 0.49. I expect him to at least get on the score sheet. Hopefully a couple, maybe a penalty as well, get two goals. I think we'd all be happy with that, wouldn't we, as captain?
Yeah.
So.
The numbers, I'll skip forward a little bit because I was going to compare these when I was talking about Salah, but the numbers which surprised me a little bit was just his touches in the box. So Salah had 21 against Leeds, it was, and Aubameyang had 4. I mean, that even though I want to captain him this week, the fact that number is so low is a bit of a worry. But I suppose when he's touching the ball in the box, he's usually having a shot, because 3 of those were shots. So I'm just interested to see how the next couple of games go, because, like I said at the top, I think it's almost going to be a case of Aubameyang or Salah for the captain, most when you own both of them. And when they're both 12 million, it looks like that Salah's going to be better on the numbers anyway. So do you really need Aubameyang at that price?
Yeah, I mean, many people just have him to sell for KDB anyway. But yeah, I think Salah is not even a bad shout. Obviously, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, those numbers for him are so good that you'd expect him to do well against Chelsea still.
Yeah, especially with Kepa still in goal.
Yeah, but I would assume Azpilicueta is going to come in, because he did come on at the end of that game. I think James will probably stay right back, Azpilicueta to left back. So he's not going to be against Alonso, who can't defend.
No way. No, Chelsea are going to tighten up, I would think. On the West Ham side, so they're just starting this terrible fixture run. Maybe they did get a bit unsettled. You were saying last week about lots of in-club arguments and murmurings, but they've got the next 5 fixtures are all against clubs that finished in the top 7 last season. They've got a really atrocious record at the Emirates as well. So they've lost each of their last 5 fixtures. They've conceded 12 in that time. And they've been poor on the road at the back end of last season. So they failed to win 9 of the last 10 away games. I didn't think they looked great against Newcastle either. Like a Newcastle team who conceded 6 in a preseason game just before the season started. They had an XG of 0.8 against them. Taking a look at the players as well. So I've got Souček. I was surprised that his numbers be quite low. He's only 6% owned, but he tied. He basically had joint most shots in the box of all West Ham players. He had 2, tied with Antonio and Haller. Not bad really for defensive midfielder. 2 key passes as well, was the best behind Fredericks. Antonio was actually their most picked player in the West Ham squad. He had 8 penalty box touches, XG of 0.2 and XA of 0.1. Amazingly, really, that considering that was so low, that was actually the best of all West Ham players. So any returns might come through him. But with those fixtures and not really being inspired with their performance against Newcastle, I can't see that I'm going to have any or be bringing in any West Ham players anytime soon. I'm happy to keep Souček in there just because of his affordability and his price point. But I kind of looking at some of those 5.5 million players from, like you say, Wolves and some of the Leeds boys, and thinking maybe if they can keep that up, there might be a transfer on there.
I think there's probably goals in this game, actually.
Do you?
I don't think Arsenal can keep a clean sheet against... I think West Ham were unlucky because they hit the post or the woodwork twice against Newcastle, so I thought they looked okay-ish going forward. And Antonio I don't think is going to stay quiet for that long, and Souček was unlucky as well. So I think there's a few goals in this game.
I think Arsenal seem like maybe it's just Fulham, and I've just got the rose tinted glasses on with the summer. I feel like they're like a different beast defensively recently. And
I agree, but I think they can't keep West Ham out. Okay. I don't think. We'll see.
We will see. Okay, Southampton against Spurs. I think this is like the fixture of the 2 teams that sort of let everyone down the most in game week 1, because I was expecting quite a lot of Southampton. I was definitely expecting a win against Palace, and Spurs, I was thinking, I've watched the documentary, I know how the great team talks Harry Kane does and how passionate Mourinho is. I was like, it's big wins for both. What happened, Kieran?
I don't know.
Fluffers.
Crystal Palace out of nowhere looked decent, and then Everton, I guess, out of nowhere looked really good with their new signings. So I mean, Southampton, their fixtures in the short term are not that good. Tottenham and then Burnley away for 2 sort of... Well, obviously Burnley are good defensively, though we haven't seen them play yet. And then Tottenham at home. I don't really know how this would go. I mean...
They won. Southampton won this game last season, and Ings scored. Yes. And it was a game, I think Kane... Well, it was on the documentary when Kane got injured and they were sloppy. Yeah,
so, I mean, Southampton against Crystal Palace had an XG of 1.48, conceded none. Scored none. An XGC of 1.39 and conceded 1, or was it 2? I can't even actually remember.
No, it was 1-0.
It was just 1, yeah. So, yeah, defensively they looked kind of suspect. They gave up 3 big chances to Crystal Palace, who by far had the worst attacking stats of all teams last season. So that's kind of worrying. And I'm kind of glad I didn't go the double defence route, because I was looking at McCarthy and Kyle Walker-Peters. So, Walker-Peters looked worryingly bad in the defence sort of side. Attack looked a little bit blunt as well, even though Adams looks kind of sharp, and I think Ings had a good chance in the end as well. Ings versus Adams, obviously 2.5 million difference. There was so Ings is first here, Adams second. Shots was 3 versus 1. Big chances 1 versus 1. An XG of 0.66 versus 0.545. Key passes 1 each. An XA of 0.17 versus 0.08, and then 2 points each. So not that much in it, but I think Ings did look pretty dangerous-ish. And then I did a comparison of Ings versus Calvert-Lewin, who obviously is someone I'm looking at. Ings' stats were a lot better. Which is sort of annoying if I'm looking at going that way. And then I'm also looking at a possible Martial to Ings, but I was thinking of doing an Ings to a Martial like further on, sort of towards the like Chelsea game area. So I don't know if bringing that forward is wise or not. See, this game could be goals, or it could be like a 0-0, or it could be like a 1-0 Spurs.
It could be
a 1-0
anything.
Southampton.
It could be anything.
This one is really hard to call. I don't think Southampton look great, but then again, they can turn it on. So is Armstrong going to be fit? Because I think he changes their attack a little bit. They had that small bone come in. They didn't even bring in a Gineppo or someone like that who is an actual proper attacker.
Yeah.
So they had that sort of flair of attacking creativity gone. Do you think not sure.
Do you think it's a shame to be bailing on Ings already? I mean, nearly 25% ownership at the start of the season. He's down to 22. I mean, it's just been one blank. Maybe is it just the fixtures that look a lot worse now than they did, considering they've lost one? I mean, Tottenham lost as well. Burnley haven't had a game yet. West Brom looked woeful, and then it's Chelsea and Everton, who admittedly look good game week 1. But there's potentially 3 okay fixtures there. Do you just think that Ings' price is making you want to downgrade so you can upgrade elsewhere? Because you didn't plan this, did you? You didn't plan to get rid of him.
No, it is a shame. I did want to keep him. I didn't see Salah being so good, so I have to keep Salah now, and then so I don't have a way to get a United player without taking either Ings out or taking a hit to get Ings out as well, and then take Havertz up to someone like that. I didn't see Havertz being so bad, so I've just got that sort of issue where Ings is looking like he's 8.5 million, and I can either put him up somewhere or take him down.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's looked so good last year, and Jimenez at the same price making a mockery of him at this point. So
We'll see how we get on in game weeks. But on the Spurs side, I think it was the first time actually in Mourinho's managerial career that he lost, which was in 19 attempts. I think they're poor performance regardless. 15 shots conceded was the joint second worst. Not something you expect from his sort of side historically. So, I mean, that does bode well for in the keep Ings checklist tick box area. Thought, and they obviously, like I say, lost against Saints last season. Probably the 3 highlights from the Spurs side were Doherty, because I thought he actually looked like he was playing as you'd expect him to for Wolves. 1 big chance that set up by Kane. He actually had the highest XG of all Spurs players. 2 touches in the penalty box was tied with, you guessed it, the Spurs centre forward Harry Kane, with mind-blowing stat, but something we've sort of come to expect with Kane. And Son, I had him in my team. He was quite heavily picked. You've done well actually, because you said in pre-season you're like, I don't want any Spurs players. I don't want Davis. I don't want Son. Did I end up having 2 of them? I can't remember now. No, just Son. I bailed on Davies in the end. But yeah, 9 million looks like a lot for what he produced at the weekend, despite having a good pre-season. He had the most penalty box touches of all Spurs players with 6, 2 shots, and did create a big chance for Delhi. But it just was a bit flat. And I'm sure a lot of people are feeling the same about Son and Kane, really.
I mean, you didn't keep money in the bank to be able to get Bruno, did you, from Son?
No, but I got 0.5 in there.
So you would possibly look at Rashford, would you?
I'm happy.
Or you're just not.
I'm probably gonna hold this week.
See, I think I would hold Son unless you were definitely wanting Bruno. Then I think I thought he looked okay. I thought he looked the most lively, as you said. And I people who have someone like Pulisic or an Ali, I think should look at the Son because he looked a lot better. And this fixture, I think, looks good because Southampton weren't good defensively or that good. And, the fixtures after that are decent too. So the Son is people sort of getting rid of him by the plenty. I think might end up regretting it because you can never write Son off because he goes on purple patches all the time. I thought he looked the most lively. Now I was scared watching that game or watching the highlights because I did the matchday challenge and he looked good. So
no, I'm probably going to keep him and just see how it goes. Is there any more you want to add on the Spurs side? Have you finished watching the documentary yet?
I'm still only 3 episodes in, but I need to get
on it as well. It might give me some more reason to like or loathe their players. All right, Brighton are travelling up to St James's Park to play Newcastle. You've got 2 Newcastle players in your starting 11 because you love it. I've got just Lascelles, one of them. Excited about this one? Sam Maximan running wild.
Yeah, I'm tempted to bench Maximan for Egan. Actually, he looked. I don't know, like he usually does. He runs a lot, looks decent, but no real end product. To be honest.
Exactly the reason you signed him into your team.
Yeah, exactly. Hendrick obviously got a goal and an assist for 5.5 million. He obviously looked a lot better in the end, but I think that's possibly a bit of a fluke. I mean, no one's ever really considered Hendrick as a fantasy pick. No. But yeah, I'm happy to still have him, and their fixtures are decent enough. And in Brighton at home seems like a good opportunity to play him, I guess. He's obviously aware of FPL as he's tweeted some FPLers back and saying they should put him in his team and stuff like that. So, happy to roll the dice with him for now. And there's so many sort of 5.5 million players that have come out looking like good value, especially that Podence of Wolves. So, I mean, Newcastle team stats wise, so XG of 0.89 with 2 scored, which is overperforming slightly, but XGC of 0.81 and 0 conceded with 0 big chances conceded as well, so I like that. And Brighton didn't look particularly great attacking wise against Chelsea, so Newcastle fortress of clean sheets last year at home, so I'm liking the chance for Lewis and obviously Lascelles in your team here. I assume you're playing Lascelles this week, right?
Absolutely, yeah, no doubt.
So Wilson 6.5 million looked good. Obviously had him as a cub. I think we'll probably look at him at some point for sure. XG of 0.51 and XA of 0.18 had 2 other decent chances off the crosses from Lewis as well. So 4 shots, 1 big chance, 2 key passes. A good debut for him. I think with Lewis, Fraser, St Maximan, and sort of Almiron sort of link up, I think is going to be good for him this season. I can't see him. I think he's going to get something like a 15 plus goals season, maybe. I mean, if he can stay fit, then that seems about right to me. Obviously, the strikers for Newcastle the last few seasons have been awful, but I think they need him to do it, and I think he's got the possibility.
I think the good thing about Wilson as well, what you sort of expect with a striker in a club like that, is because he's not going to have many shots, he's not going to knock too many off target, and when he scores, even when they win, he's going to pick up some bonus. And typically you'd sort of expect that going to a defender in a 2-0 win, but the fact that he won't be shooting a lot because Newcastle don't just make a ton of chances. If he takes a chance and scores and they win by a low margin, which they look like they could do more of, then he will be picking up bonus here, there and everywhere. So no, I think at 6.5 million, there's not been much said about him compared to Calvert-Lewin when his fixture... I mean, I appreciate Calvert-Lewin's got better players around him, but there's not been much said about Wilson considering this nice run of fixtures they've got. So
I can see him doing well in the next 3 at least. Brighton at home, Tottenham away, Burnley at home. I think there's a goal involvement in pretty much all of those possibly.
No, okay. On the bright side of things, I didn't actually watch this game last night. You did. What did you think of them? Were they all right?
They look like the better team for quite a lot of it, honestly. Okay. Attacking wise, they didn't do too much, honestly. Mopé didn't do much. But I mean, Lallana went off again. Imagine everyone's shock of that. But Trossard looked decent-ish. Obviously, Lallana, he was only in that position because Lallana went off, and he went off to that side. But yeah, Trossard, is he actually 5.5 million?
I think he's 6.
Okay, so 6. So yeah, it could be good value when their fixtures are good. They're okay at the moment, but I don't think sort of buy them anytime soon. I think the defence looked decent-ish. Got a little bit unlucky with the penalty, I suppose. And yeah, like set piece from Zuma, yeah, is what it is, I suppose. But Lamptey looked decent as well. Yeah.
I know. I think that they're always been on the sort of the cusp of like my thinking. I mean, they've got their fixtures are okay. That 3 of their next 4 games are away, and then they've got a home game against Man United. I think that like you say, their defence, there is a small case for it. Like the 2 games between these two last season were both 0-0. I thought they were unlucky to concede 3 against Chelsea. They had an XGC of 1.5, and Palace, by comparison, had an XGC of 1.8. Obviously, they conceded 0, and Brighton conceded 3. So I think it's a bit unlucky the way it falls. Lamptey, I think, is well done if you persevere with him. 3% ownership. 2 key passes, 1 big chance created. Obviously, got what I would say is not just a fortunate assist. The fact that Trossard's gone and scored a worldie from there, but he did show good attacking threat throughout. So he had 7 final third entries, which is the joint second of all players. He had 6 penalty area entries, which is the second highest behind Trossard. So yeah, he is getting forward, and for someone that's 4.5 million, I think he's going to be a mainstay in that team, and he might pick you up the odd assist every now and again, especially in a home game.
Yeah, we didn't know he was nailed on because of the new signing as well. Another 4.5 million for someone like Justin to go to, someone like the Vinagre, you could go to him. So at least there's people like that emerging, which is nice.
Yeah, no, definitely. All right, we've got 4 games to go. We've got Liverpool up next. Chat about they obviously go away to Chelsea. This is probably the biggest game of the weekend by some distance between 2 top sides. That's on Sunday. It's at 4:30. Obviously, Liverpool conceding 3 against Leeds. Trent coming away with a 1-pointer, most owned player in the game. People selling him as well in the bucket loads, as you'd expect, which is sort of knee-jerking. They had the second highest XG of the weekend, Liverpool, 3.04, obviously boosted a bit by a couple of penalties, but 17 shots in the box, more than any other team by an absolute long stretch. Do you think it was just Leeds playing into their hands a little bit? They were quite open, I thought.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, just an open game. They were getting attacked, which helps Liverpool a lot going forward. So, I kind of expect possibly the sort of same thing. I think Chelsea don't really know how to defend well. So, I suspect Thiago Silva might be in there for this one. But, yeah.
It was 4-3, wasn't it, in Project Restart between these two? Is that right, when Pulisic came on and did well at the end of last season?
Yeah, possibly. I barely remember that.
Might be another ding-dong again.
Yeah, so hopefully, I mean, because at this rate, I might be even keeping Havertz. Yeah, I don't know. A sort of rolling would probably be better. I mean, all right, so I'm going to talk about Havertz for now. Okay. He can't get any worse, can he? Because he looked that bad.
Really?
His XG was 0, XA of 0.03, 0 shots, 0 key passes, 1 key, 0 big chances. 0 big chances created, 1 key pass. And his actual average positioning was further back than James was. So,
wow. Where was he playing then? Was he playing on the right of a midfield 3? Was that how they played him?
Yeah, kind of. He was sort of supposed to be like an attacking 3, I think. But I don't know, to be honest. I don't know where he was. It's just somewhere on the right of the field and just, didn't do anything at all. I think every time I watched him, when he got the ball in the sort of attacking third, he passed the ball backwards. And I was just like, oh, this is not good. So it is the only way is up, and hopefully, if Pulisic can be fit and when Ziyech's back, he can start to play more centrally and get involved. I mean, is rolling a better option to have 2 free transfers and possibly make 3 transfers next week?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably going to be the way to go. Just to have a bit more information. Like, I don't think. The only thing you think you're missing out on is the Everton game against West Brom, but
at the same time, after Liverpool, they got West Brom, Crystal Palace, Southampton. That's a decent run for them, and he might, if he shows anything against Liverpool, which is obviously he could do because players can come back, and he's been in the country for like 4 days or something.
Yeah.
I think. So new country, new club. Like people say, oh, you barely settle in, all that stuff. Like takes age, but
It
like,
will.
It literally is a whole new system for him, like a whole new country. Barely speaks English as far as I know, and so yeah.
I think if it was me, I'd probably hold him for this game and watch him in a big game because it's going to be tighter anyway. So everyone's going to be a bit more focused. You'll get an idea of how he plays. So,
I mean, Lampard said good things about him as well, and I think he knew that he had a tough game, and I think he's obviously going to work with him more because I think they're quite similar players, whether Lampard and Havertz. So he's going to work with him in training. Hopefully, he puts him towards the middle more. I think he should have played the Ruben Loftus-Cheek role where he was basically a 10. I don't know why he put him on the right. So yeah, I think I'm happy to keep now. I think I've been maybe swayed into keeping and hoping the United players don't trash me, but we'll see.
On the Liverpool side of things, what do you like? We talked a little bit about their defence there. How do you sort of like view it at the moment? Because I think they were sloppy in pre-season, and I think they were careless on Saturday. Obviously, big error from Van Dijk. A lot of people sort of had two of their defenders, but the stats didn't really match the eye test. They had an XGC, expected goals conceded, of 0.5, third lowest of all teams this game week, but still conceded 3. Robertson's done well recently. I think he's only second behind KDB for assists since like game week 20 last season. He had a strong end. I mean, what would he need to do to sort of be selected over Trent? I kind of think he'd want to be able to show he can outperform him over 5 to 10 game weeks. But yeah, Liverpool defence was slow starting last season. Do you think it's the same again now?
Probably. Yeah, Trent hadn't really played or trained with them at all. I think Trent was getting bullied a little bit by Harrison. Robertson is actually taking a lot more set pieces now. He wasn't taking corners and stuff before, whereas Trent was taking them all. Whereas Robertson is taking some now, and even he took a few sort of crossing free kicks as well. But I think if you're selling Trent, you need to have your mind looked at a little bit. In the first game, they were just
my mind looked at excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
You need a lobotomy or something.
Yeah, good.
So yeah, I think Chelsea away is obviously gonna be tough, but when they have games like this, they often sort of sort themselves out a bit. So yeah, they're still a 1 win, 0 losses.
Yeah.
And yeah, Trent's pretty much the best value asset in the game still.
Yeah.
And anyone who sells him is going to be mad eventually. So yeah, I think this Chelsea game looks good for him attacking wise. The Arsenal one does too. Aston Villa, Everton after that. Yeah, he's going to start getting returns soon. And once they sort their defence out, a Robertson in looks like a good way to go as well.
Yeah.
So.
No, I like it. Any more on the Chelsea side of things?
Obviously James, wonder strike, and was on corners. I don't think he will be all the time. Obviously ZX gets to come back in, Pulisic can take them and all that stuff. But 5 million, 14-point haul. He's not going to score goals like that each week, that's for sure. And he's not going to get all the corners eventually either. So I think he could be a bandwagon, but I think playing Paul next, you expect him to either play or be benched. He's not 100% nailed still, but. Yeah, if you picked him, well done, obviously, and just play him in this. Hopefully he plays, I think, and yeah, just keep him from now on, I'd say. I think he's just a not buy for now, at least, if you don't have him. But.
Yeah, no, he came in and he impressed me last night. I mean, his goal was great, and like you say, because he was sort of dominating a lot of the set pieces, he looked like he could be a good option, but it remains to be seen whether he's going to be in there full time, because you kind of think Chilwell's going to come in soon, Azpilicueta might be coming back in. So just see what happens when they got the whole selection, but it might be that it's just that this season Azpilicueta gets phases out. Maybe James will play.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
2 of every 4 games or something, so 1 of every 2.
Yeah.
All right.
I was just gonna say quickly on Werner. Obviously,
Werner
doesn't get the penalties when Jorginho is on the pitch, so that's not so great. Did play 90 minutes at least, so possibly we haven't got the worry of him being taken off at 60 minutes every game, which is good. Did show glimpses, had a few shots, 5 shots actually, and 5 in the box. So He looks like he could be good. He's got a yellow flag on the game at the moment with a dead leg, but I assume he'll be perfectly fine. Just hopefully they can start to turn it on a bit more with Havertz and get the sort of right formation, I suppose, for them to both do well. I think he's probably a season keeper. I see no way he doesn't get at least 15 goals this year. So
no, I agree. Yeah. All right, Leicester against Burnley up next. I got to be honest, I don't have a lot on Burnley because it's been difficult to track their pre-season. I know last night, at the weekend, they won 3-0. Although the report about the game has mysteriously been deleted from the Burnley website, and I couldn't seem to find anything about it on Reddit. I know that it was pretty much first team. Pope, Bardley, Tarkowski, Long and Taylor played at the back. Wood and Rodriguez played up front, and pretty much their standard midfield player played. And I think it's difficult to judge any of their players. I think Wood is probably the one to watch out for at the moment. Obviously, there's a few players who are approaching in the forward line at the moment. It's 6.5 million with Wilson being sort of the key other one. He averaged 6.5 points per 90 in the final 6 games of last season, which would justify his price. They've got some okay fixtures after this Leicester one, Southampton, Newcastle, West Brom. So he's one to watch for me this weekend. But otherwise, on the Burnley side of things, it's Charlie Taylor, who's come into my team. 4.5 million playing defender. You know what you're going to get because they're so solid defensively usually. But I think it's after this weekend, I think I'll know a bit more about Burnley. So I ain't got too much on them really.
Does this look like a 10-pointer for Pope, maybe?
You know what? He loves a 10-pointer. And then we'll all go, why have we not
It could be a 0-0 this one, honestly. Yeah. But I don't know. I expect Vardy to get his customary penalty after doing nothing.
Yeah. Can we talk about Harvey Barnes, though, first? Because on the Leicester side, because I tell you what, as a surprise, on the Friday before the deadline, I changed my team around a little bit. And I had Harvey Barnes in my team for a couple of hours Friday. I was thinking I never went quite through with it, but he had some good numbers this week, really good numbers.
He's just he had 5 shots, 5 in the box, which is good, obviously, but I think he's kind of a 5.52 expensive, honestly. If he was 6.5, I think a lot more people would look at him.
Yeah.
But yeah, an XG of 0.67 and an XA of 0.18 with 1 big chance and 1 key pass. 0 big chances created. To me, he reminds you of a Rashford, pre sort of being decent-ish, where he kind of just takes snapshots instead of actually assessing the situation and sort of taking the correct shot. He feels just very rash. Obviously, I'm saying Rashford, but he feels like a rash player where he just doesn't take the right decision. And so he's still going to get returns and still be good at some point, like that 19-point haul post lockdown last year, but he's just way too inconsistent for me. I owned him at the start of post lockdown as well, and he was just awful, so I got rid of him basically immediately. So he's just too inconsistent for me.
It's a shame, really.
7 million at that price, I think, is too much to pay for inconsistency.
Yeah, no, it's a shame, really, because I think he looked good, and he was someone I was really close to having. And his touches in the box, I noticed, were 9, which was the most after Mane and Salah for the game week. So I thought that was quite impressive. I appreciate they were playing West Brom, but it's a shame, really. I think if he was more consistent in front of goal, he'd be a real threat. All right, sorry, on the other Leicester players, Vardy, oh my god, left it late with the 2 penalties and caused outrage on Twitter.
Yeah,
rants and whatnot.
So without his penalties, he had an XG of 0, completely 0. So his XGs with penalties were 1.49, which is obviously scores 1.5 out of 2, I guess. But 2 shots, 2 penalties, 2 big chances, which were both the penalties, 1 key pass. So he had no big chances or shots other than those penalties. So he had an atrocious day, but still scored 13 points. Skill versus luck debate on that one.
God, big
I guess
debate.
It's not really either.
No.
You pick a player who you think will score points and is a penalty taker for a good team.
Yeah.
I think that's just picking the right sort of player. You have the chance to score more points with the penalty taker. So, same with Salah. We obviously got 2 of them. He's got the fixtures to continue to do well. You got to hope he does more in open play. But if you owned him and captained him, you're probably laughing all the way to the top points this week.
Yeah.
So,
Nah, that's a funny one. Yeah, no, I kind of agree because players get points in their own way. Sometimes you pick a midfielder because you know they're going to be on set pieces and occasionally someone's going to score a goal from a set piece. So yeah, I don't think you can hate on that.
No.
Any more to add on the Leicester front?
I mean, Justin, I think he's obviously on borrowed time, but yeah, 9-point haul. Never expected that, honestly. I thought a clean sheet was hopeful, but yeah, an assist for a penalty as well. Great. Playing in this weekend, I think Burnley are probably decent attacking wise, so I'm an R-ing on Justin actually, because Burnley have decent sort of attacking potential at least. So, and yeah, who played centre back with Suanchu? I'm blanking now. Was it Justin played left centre back?
I honestly can't remember.
Played a back three, didn't they?
I didn't watch the game.
I think
like live.
Yeah, I'm blanking as well now. Anyway,
someone will tell us.
Yeah, so. Yeah, Ricardo I think is only a few weeks away, and at least there's a Lamptey and stuff like that to go to. Castagna looked decent at 5.5 as well. Yeah, so there's option in that defence still because they've looked okay.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree. They looked okay, but yeah, Justin a bit on borrowed time. All right, Aston Villa against Sheffield United. Our boy Ollie Watkins. First, I just want to say Sheffield United really disappointed me. Like 2 shots on targets against Wolves. That was the joint second worst of all teams in the opening game week. They lost their last 3 matches now going to the back end of last season. I think there's the forward lines of worry. We know they were interested in Watkins and other strikers in the summer. They've still not signed anyone. Lined up last night with Sharp and McBurney. They got 9 goals between them last season. I just feel like they played Lundstrom. He had that goal threat last season, but I looked at the team last night, like, where are the goals going to come from? When they went 2-0 down, I was like, it's just going to be, it's basically about 70 minutes until the clean sheet for Wolves rolls in here.
They were looking at Brewster, weren't they, seriously?
Yeah.
So I think they should go all out and get him if they can, because they need someone like that.
Yeah. No, I do think it's a bit of a worry, and I mean, their sort of status in the Premier League this season is going to be based on how well they can defend, I think, because they're not going to smash teams. So yeah, that need to go back to basics, and hopefully that means an upturn in Ramsdale. I was a bit disappointed with him. 5 million, 1-pointer opening weekend. Same for you with Egan, and I'm sure loads of others out there. I mean, Stevens looked okay. His heat map was like red hot, and he was burning up and down left side, 1 shot. But I don't know, for 5.5 million, it's tricky to justify it this season when they've all gone up.
I think Henderson saves that second one as well from size.
Yeah, it was strange. It was close to him, wasn't
Ramsdale's
it?
positioning was strange. Yeah, he was just like it sort of ended up going past him like a foot beneath the sort of like the bar. Yeah. It's just like I don't know what Ramsdale's doing. It's just strange. So yeah, he's showing his sort of ineptitude already a little bit. Yeah, and maybe they are a little bit of a trap without Henderson, because Henderson did a lot for them last year. Yeah. So yeah, I'm thinking Egan to someone like a Seiss eventually looks good to me. Assuming I have the sort of price point
and
still
the time to do it, because it's always like a next transfer, isn't it? I'm conscious I don't want to spend loads of time this season making defensive and, like you say, goalkeeper transfers. So I'm trying to avoid that back line.
Yeah, at the same time, I think bar those 2 early goals, they weren't that troubled. So I don't know if I'm looking at like clouded judgment here of just like how quickly they went behind. So I think we should not write them off yet, because they have okay fixtures still in these next 2, and I guess the next 4 are okay. Arsenal away is obviously not great, but they did do decently against Arsenal last year. So yeah.
No, I like it. All right. Aston Villa against Sheffield United. Oh, sorry. Talk to me about Aston Villa.
Villa.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hard to judge them as well. Obviously, they haven't played yet. So poor last year, scraped survival. But I think they've had about 100 million new additions now, and it looks like they're actually good signings this time, not like last year. So Martinez has come in from Arsenal. Shame for Heaton. I don't know what's going to happen to him now. They're going to have Steer and Nyland just sitting nowhere.
That injury came at a bad time.
Back. So, obviously Martinez, great keeper. Expecting probably a few more clean sheets for Villa this season. I think they could be a bit of a dark horse to get, I don't know, maybe top half. Is that crazy? Maybe.
Depends how well
Grealish has just signed a new 5-year contract. And yeah, Watkins, our local lad who's from our area, so ex-Brentford striker who scored 26 goals in the Championship last season, 3 assists, and Adams, obviously, before he came to the Prem last year, got something like 23 goals or something for Birmingham, I think it was. So, there's that sort of good goals in the Championship doesn't necessarily mean goals in the Premiership, but I think they obviously need a player like him. He was completely nailed on, played 49 or 49 games last year for Brentford, and basically played all the minutes as well. So he could be really good value at 6 million, which I'm glad he came at 6 million, because Mitrovic and Adams, if they are crap, then Watkins is an option as well. So Grealish wise, 8 goals, 6 assists last year. Tried to do it all himself, didn't have much around him, but he's got a little bit more support this year. With a bit Watkins coming in, etc. So I think from game week 6, what am I looking at here? Game week 6 to 8 could be a decent run because they have a decent fixture swing. So Grealish could be good again. Watkins could be good. Not too bad.
I kind of think like Watkins is going to have a bit of confidence coming into this game week, having scored against United at the weekend. I think that's quite a big deal.
Oh, did he? I didn't notice he scored.
Yeah, it was him who scored. Little diving header, free at the back post, absolutely atrocious defending, but. Yeah, I mean, to say you scored against, I think Maguire and Lindelof were on the pitch, like defending when he scored. I think because Maguire was definitely on second half. I saw the highlights. I don't remember seeing the team sheet. Someone might correct me on that, but yeah, Lindelof was definitely there. So I thought, well, to score against United on your sort of like Villa debut is pretty big deal, even if it is pre-season.
So if you had Egan in my position, would you play him
this game week? I might play him over Sam Maximan, but but maybe. Otherwise probably not. I just don't like the idea of playing 5 at the back either.
Bench Havertz for Egan.
Maybe if it was on form, you probably would, and like underlying numbers. All right, final game of the game week: Wolves against Man City. Again, I found it really difficult to. I feel like I've had a good week with the teams here on this side because they're all either been bad ones or ones that haven't played yet. So Man City obviously come into this game. They've not beaten Wolves in the last 3 games in all comps. They obviously ended last season in great form, 34 goals in Project Restart, full 12 goals more than the next best team, that was United. They also conceded the least and had the most clean sheets, so they were, red hot at both ends of the table. Like I say, it's going to be a big swing now because obviously Man United players are coming into, everyone's thinking, so are City players. Aguero's been given a tidy price of 10.5. Sterling and KDB both 11.5. It's going to be difficult to squeeze them both in or multiples of them in without a wild card. Who are you looking at with City? Will it be the week after this when they host Leicester and then Leeds and Arsenal in a little run?
Yeah, I think so. Aubameyang after the West Ham game goes out to KDB or Sterling. Yeah. I kind of think Sterling might be the more explosive one if KDB goes out of your price range because of a few rises, then I don't think Sterling is the bad option because I don't think Sterling looks like he's rising. So I think you could go Sterling instead. But KDB just for safety, he had casual like 2 assists and 1 goal or something with Belgium the other week. Just made it look so easy, and I think he's probably going to be there or thereabouts again this season. He was the highest scoring last year, wasn't he? I think. So I don't see any reason that can't happen again. And I think Man City have sort of strengthened, haven't they? Ake looks good. That Torres guy looks decent too. Playing for Spain. So I don't think they've lost 2 big players in Sane and Silva, but I think they're going to just push on again. I think they're favourites for this year. Yeah,
I actually think they're favourites for this year as well. I think they're going to drop points on this one. I think Wolves have typically done quite well against them, and I think the fact they haven't had a competitive game yet will make quite a big difference. So I could see a draw or Wolves win, but we'll see. Jimenez, Keek, obviously fairly well selected, 19% owned. It was him or Ings at that 8.5 price. We both went Ings, and he's kicked off the season like we thought. Well, like he can do, like we know he can do.
Yeah, XG of 0.92, which is second highest, which is the highest of all strikers without the pen XG, obviously because of Vardy. So, to be honest, he didn't do that much part of that goal. He looked really sharp, like massively past the eye test, but like attacking wise, he didn't actually do all that much else other than the goal. But 5 shots, 2 big chances as well, 0 key passes, but 0 big chances created as well. So hopefully he sort of ups those assist sort of numbers, because usually he looks like he can do both, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, facts kind of remain that he doesn't really haul. 1 goal, fantastic finish, 8 points. When is he going to start getting 2 goals or hat tricks? Like at that time, he's going to be absolutely essential. So I'm hoping he can start to do that, because he's got opponents now. He's got Joshua, he's got Traore, he's got a lot of creativity in that team now. And that Wolves team that doesn't have Europe, you think they're probably going to be really good this year. And didn't it really look like conceding against Sheffield United? And Gameweek 3 onwards, after the City game, their fixture run is crazy good. People are going to look at wildcards for that. I would love to get a Wolves defender. I would like to get Jimenez as well. Maybe even hold on to Ings and then look at Jimenez next week from Ings possibly, because you can see Jimenez possibly doing well against City as well.
No, I like Wolves a lot this season. Like you said, I mean, they finished 6th last season with a testing Europa League schedule. So yeah, if they can, well, they don't have Europa League to worry about this season. I could see them trying to make a push for top 4. If their defensive record,
100%.
The back end of last season was as good as any of the other top teams, and we know that they can grind out a win when they need to. So got a lot of faith in Wolves this season. So I may be back on Jimenez before long, and I'm happy I got Size.
Yeah, I'm so sad I chose Egan over Size. Just clouded by last year and this Man City fixture. Really, that was it.
I know. Well, there's still time. Maybe an early wildcard, but I'm trying to avoid the early wildcard this season. I want to try and get to game week 6 or 8 or something. All right.
I think three transfers. Sorry, just quickly. Yeah. 3 transfers with a -4 from next week to get a Sice in as well, something like that. It could be the way to go.
Yeah, definitely. No, I kind of agree. I'm looking at my team and thinking that I need to give them a chance. It's been 1 game. I mean, I don't mind a score of whatever I ended on, 68, 69. And let's just see what they can do in a second. We can get more information.
Planning for a while. Yeah. We shouldn't be taking hits so quickly.
But definitely not. I mean, I think let's ride it out and see what happens. We all had our reasoning behind each player, and I'm sure everyone else did. So I think it's a bit mad to be taking point hits. But anyway, we'll see. We need to wrap up, Kieran. We need to do our little wrappy up a bit. We've got to do the FPL Cougar Cup picks.
Yes, I think I chose first last time, so you feel free to go.
Okay, I'm going to choose Richarlison this game week. I think it's got to be an Everton player based on how poor West Brom were last season, and he looked good. And I think.
Do you know if he's under 15? I assume.
I kind of think I hope he must be. I know Calvert-Lewin is. And I bet Calvert-Lewin's got more earnings than he has. Oh yeah, he's 10.4.
You're fine.
Okay.
Fine.
Oh, he's actually more.
Okay, so I had Digne as one of mine, but I don't think I want to go for someone in the same game because that'd be kind of boring. So I'm going to go for Rashford.
Oh, okay, nice.
5.6% owned, and he looked sharp in that Villa game. I've seen a little bit of highlights of him in that one, and obviously nailed on because he's been playing and fit. So. I'll go for Rashford. Why not?
Yeah, like it. Okay. No, all right, that's all good. So captaincy, we're both doing Aubameyang. We've done our Cougar Cup picks. Clean sheets. I think it's a difficult one this week.
Everton seemed likely. Yeah. Leeds seemed likely. Yep.
I think Arsenal.
Newcastle.
You're not so keen on Arsenal though. Early you said West Ham could sneak one there, but Arsenal.
Then Wolves. Maybe.
Wolves maybe. I'd like to see it. I think there's a few around this weekend, so hopefully you guys can catch one. Cool. All right. Well,
captaincy quickly. I think we're both on Aubameyang,
right? And vice captaincy is just going to be on Salah. But I don't think anywhere other than Aubameyang this week. Cool. All right. Any more to add?
Cool. No, we're done.
Cool. All right. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be back early next week to preview game week 3 already. Have a great game week. Any questions, shout us out in the chat. It's goodbye from me.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye-bye.